Good evening, and as always wishing good night to those whom it is the night right now. A few years ago on my rule in the group Parallel World, I wrote the following in the status section of my profile. If you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. A few people noticed this, gave it a so-called like thumbs up, although this praise has a very deep meaning. As I have said, I am not God, but I am the one who carries out his design, and therefore no one but me can see or say how much anyone's plans align with the Creator's intentions. Now regarding plans. How does the idea sound to you that no one in the illusion has or can have any plans? You might say, how is that possible since we play all day, work and set goals and tasks and so on? Yes, it could be true, but only if this were not an illusion. Here in the illusion there are no plans. So what is this? These are your fulfilled and unfulfilled dreams, if they align with the plot, the script and the role you're assigned to play. The illusion through these plots, scripts and roles gives you the illusory opportunity to realize your dreams. Some people succeed, others do not, and this creates in a way the illusion of controlling your fate through these plans, your dreams. For example, you want to buy a house, a car, furniture, or other things. You save money, then acquire what you need or don't, and this isn't really planning, it's just you're trying to realize your dreams and desires, which is how the system manipulates you. How did I bring this up? The thing is, in an illusion there are no plans, just like there's nothing else. But beyond the illusion, in reality, there are those we call rulers who control the controllers, those who are here in the illusion, and for them, there are no restrictions, no algorithms that govern the illusion. The same cannot be said for those who are here in the illusion, even for those we call the highest ranking controllers. Here the plans are the same thing, a dream illusion just like yours. The difference is that their plans are more extensive and comprehensive, but like you, they are limited by the control system and the algorithms governing the illusion, which are maintained by artificial intelligence created by Lucifer and later modified by Satan. I'll give you a good, clear example. How many times has the war been waged against Russia? The times of the cruisers, the Swedes at Poltava, the Napoleon, the Kaiser, Hitler, the Japanese. Let's take the last three major wars as example, with Napoleon, the First World War, and the Second World War. How did they all end? No matter how hard they tried, they couldn't get past Moscow. Now once again, Europe and NATO are shaking their weapons, threatening an attack on Moscow and so on. I can say this, they will never get past Moscow. It's programmed in the algorithms. They will take a beating and return to their den. They keep making the same mistakes. As they say, ghost is wise learned from others, mistakes is smart from their own, and the fool from nether. They think that putting Ukrainians at the front lines, believing that Russians can fight Russians, will work. But that's in the past, it has happened before. There have always been traitors and they are still out there. It's just frustrating that an entire people have been turned into such. So I know all the plans, not the illusion of dreams, but the plans of those beyond the illusion. What's alarming is that those who are there couldn't care less about this illusion. Whether it collapses or not, it doesn't matter to them. The only thing that counts is achieving their goal, no matter the cost. As the saying goes, they couldn't care less about you or these controllers, who like hypnotized fools, carry out the task given to them and sign their own death sentence. I've told you before that this is a game, and of course the controllers are not the one playing. The rulers are, those who are beyond the illusion. The controllers are just pieces on a chessboard moved around during the game. Yet those poor souls think they matter and have some power. So it's not a pleasant situation. You may have noticed a few news stories that slip between the lines in the information space. The Pope's meeting with leaders in China and the recent one, the speech by your foreign minister Lavrov and the UN. Yes, they listen to him with respect and reverence, but what's the point? That means nothing because they decide nothing, just like at the Vatican's meeting with Eastern representatives in Beijing. You probably remember that during our meetings I often mentioned that I'm looking for signs of reason. Here, as you've understood, there's nothing worth pursuing. But the question is beyond the illusion. I think I should be clear, even to a fool, the illusion will collapse and then I will show up there, which is something they likely don't want. I could say that for at least the past 10 or 11,000 years, they've lived there in peace with anyone bothering them aside from their local squabbles. The collapse of the illusion should only concern if they are urgently awaiting my visit, hoping I clear things up and restore the order, as they say. Anyone with reason in this situation wouldn't want to invite a guest who will hold everyone accountable. So there is not much time left to wait. We'll see how ready they are to meet me. And there will be plenty of work for me there, especially considering what they have turned this planet into in the state created by the Creator where they were never able to take form. You call this Nav and Prav, or the parallel energy world in a three-dimensional state where some part of nature created by the Creator still remains and is reflected here in the illusion. So now we have the full picture of whom we're dealing with. Personal matters and conversations no longer make any sense. They talk nonsenses and stage all sorts of performances according to plots and scripts, those who do not understand and are unaware of what's really going on. Now we move on to the topic that concerns those who are more aware, those of you who observe the situation and of course want to learn as much as possible about what lies ahead. I start with a common mistake that was made out of ignorance or awareness back in the 90s. A wave of foreign films came from the West, including a genre of horror movies, such as science fiction and supernatural worlds. There are all kinds of horror movies, those with cutting, killing, but we're talking about those connected to science fiction other worlds. Just so you know, someone very clever and resourceful decided to make a good profit by creating films and showing the reality that exists beyond the illusion. No one would even think or suspect that such a reality could exist beyond the illusion. People think it's just science fiction, horror films designed to give you a thrill and excite your nerves. Then this all made it away into the gaming industry. Of course, most of you didn't even try watching these films. Women being more sensitive think why watch such negativity. It turns out they were wrong, not true. Many still watch similar films so. There was a series called Constantine and a few others that many have seen. But that's only a small portion of what has been revealed from the world beyond the illusion. Now the gaming industry is preparing children and teenagers for the future, for the upcoming encounter with monsters, for what lies ahead. Approximately 80 million years of occupation of the planet by Lucifer and Satan, after their various experiments have turned the planet and the three-dimensional state created by the Creator into a dueling place for all sorts of energy monsters. They also have their own social system structure and so on. But that's not the point right now. Some of their species are even duplicated 100% identically, in games like Warcraft and others of this type. You might ask, what's the connection? Quite a lot actually, because now you will hear some very unpleasant news. The fact is, most of those who are their own property here. And of course it's not houses, factories or cars. It's you. After you lose your farm, they take your energy like Avatar, or what you also call Australs. This has nothing to do with any sort of heaven, it's something much closer to hell, if not worse. You probably haven't heard about this. Well, I'll tell you a bit about some specific practices. When Zone X was being created, I was taking everyone who had only seconds left to live. By sustaining their life, I relocated them to Zone X. There's one woman here whom I had to take out of the ICU several times until I finally moved her to Zone X. Later with the participants in Zone X, we talked about where they would have ended up and with whom if they hadn't found themselves in Zone X. After such a transition, it's hard to believe that you're both dead and not dead, or to accept that the idea that you've recovered and continue living. I didn't try to prove it individually to everyone, but for one person I decided to show the conflict that arose between me and her owner. At the portal to Zone X, a delegation of very fast battle-ready demons arrived, intent on cornering me like a thief and demanding I return the property, claiming this belongs to me. Taking advantage of the situation, I decided to show this lady what her owner looked like. I asked her to describe what she saw and how she felt when I opened the portal. Here's what she said. This incident is unforgettable, impossible to sleep off. Luckily, Venus was nearby and I didn't feel fear as such. A brazen sneering face appeared before my eyes with an expression like, "Where do you think you're going?" He looked me straight in the eyes, mocking me, shifting positions, appearing on my right side and on my left. Venus tried to get rid of it, but her face would just move to the other side, slipping away. Its presence lingered for a while, then everything disappeared. I can give you an idea of what this monster looked like.
A few days later in a dream I was shown what had become of this creature. It was all wrapped in bandages, hanging lifeless from something invisible. I realized it had been mummified, or something like that. It manifested in this kind of form. Nadia's owner turned out to be one of the so-called Greys coming from the East fallen angels. Regarding the images Nadia showed, the Greys and Greens, I must say those are beauties compared to demons and others who would make you faint on the spot. What was I trying to tell you and show you? That from birth each of you already has an owner. You bear the energetic mark, that is, on your astral avatar. And of course the owners take care of the property. That's why in religions the owner is considered a guardian angel, where you're in avatar form and you can pray, ask for help from archangels like Michael, Samuel, some Saint Matrona or someone else. But that's all nonsense. Guardian angels were only with humans, but Lucifer and Satan destroyed them. At one point children were protected and saved by the children of the slain angels, the devils, until you were turned into commodities in someone's property. So these beings are waiting for the illusion to collapse for your essence to say goodbye to your avatar so they can claim your astral form. This happens during the harvest or if something happens before the appointed time. Does everyone understand what awaits you there? Especially now since they're angry and hungry. They're suffering from an energy frame and they can't even fix with their technologies through the illusion. I'm not exaggerating when I say what's going on there is legalist cannibalism, not to mention what's happening with beings of opposing races and species. Now try to image this picture, a pond inhabited solely by predators, pikes, perches, catfish and other fish. Someone brings an aquarium with small fish and releases them into the pond. What happens in the pond? A feast, right? That's exactly the kind of feast that the collapse of the illusion will present to the predatory energy entities living there, when it throws you from here into the realm. The only chance and way to survive will be to reach the portal of the transitional state at any cost. We will talk more about this and prepare for it. The goal of today's meeting is to introduce you to what awaits you in the future, so that there are no fairy tales or illusions. Let fools live in illusions and fairy tales, those who do not understand or do not want to understand what is happening. Now that I know the real situation and state of things, it's easier for me to understand the Creator's words. At least Save 2 he was referring to a very complicated situation and circumstances unknown to me, which made the mission nearly impossible. And we must solve this ourselves. No one will do it for us. Now I say goodbye until Wednesday. If there is any extraordinary situation or unforeseen circumstances, there are additional channels through which you will be informed about what to do and how to act. Regardless of whether this platform is shut down or not, our meetings will continue because there is very little time left to prepare. The sovereign of the universe, the first, Velas.